Today's poem is by the Vermont resident and poet Galway Kinnell, who was born in Providence, Rhode Island in 1927 and lived in Sheffield, Vermont for 43 years, while he also taught at New York University. He was a former MacArthur Fellow and State Poet of Vermont, and his selected poems won the Pulitzer Prize and the National Book Award in 1982. His many books of poetry include The Book of Nightmares, Mortal Acts, Mortal Words, The Past, and most recently, Strong is Your Hold. For many years, he was the Eric Maria Remarque Professor of Creative Writing at New York University, and he died in 2014. Why Regret by Galway Kinnell. Didn't you like the way the ants help the peony globes open by eating the glue off? Weren't you cheered to see the ironworkers sitting on an I-beam dangling from a cable in a row like starlings eating lunch, maybe bologna on white with fluorescent mustard? Wasn't it a revelation to waggle from the estuary all the way up the river, the Kill, the Pearl, the Run, the Rent, the Beck, the Syke barely trickling to the shock of a spring? Didn't you almost shiver hearing book lice clicking their sexual dissonance inside an old Webster's New International, perhaps having just eaten out of its Izzle, Ixter, and Thalassicon? What did you imagine lies in wait anyway at the end of a world whose subsistence is glame, gleet, birdlime, slime, mucus, muck? Forget about becoming emaciated. Think of the wren and how little flesh is needed to make a song. Didn't it seem somehow familiar when the nymph split open and the mayfly struggled free and flew and perched, and then its own back broke open, and the imago, the true adult, somersaulted out and took flight, seeking the swarm, mouth parts vestigial, alimentary canal come to a stop, a day or hour left to find the desired one? Or when Casanova took up the platter of linguine in squid's ink and slid the stuff out the window, telling his startled companion, the perfected lover does not eat. As a child, didn't you find it calming to imagine pinworms as some kind of tiny batons giving cadence to the squeezes and releases around the downward march of debris? Didn't you glimpse in the monarchs what seemed your own inner blazonry, flapping and gliding in desire in the middle air? Weren't you reassured to think these flimsy, hinged beings, and then their offspring, and then their offspring's offspring, could navigate working in shifts all the way to Mexico, to the exact plot, perhaps the very tree, by tracing the flare of the bodies of ancestors who fell in this same migration years ago? Doesn't it outdo pleasures of the brilliant concert to wake in the night and find ourselves holding hands in our sleep?